We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる。
What a game that was. What an incredible, crazy game at the Wankhede Stadium. It sees the Chennai Super Kings eventually managing to defend 220 as they should have at Mumbai. They pick up another win. They resign Kolkata to another defeat. But 160 of those 202 runs that Kolkata scored came at the bat of three batsmen. Six sixes for Andre Russell, six sixes for Pat Cummins, Dinesh Karthik with a 40 and 28 between the other eight batsmen put together. Just a hard game to explain, but that job lies to Ajit Agarkar and Gautam Gambhir on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Gautam, you've seen many T20 games. Have you seen something like that?
Absolutely crazy. Can't actually
Yeah.
explain it because 36 for 5, everyone thought that the game is done and dusted. But then Russell showed his intent from ball one. He just wanted to just go out there and hit everything, which was there in his arc. And that is the kind of ground 1K is. If you start hitting and middling everything, it just starts flying everywhere. And then Russell kept them in the game. And then obviously when Russell got out, Dinesh Karthik kept them in the game. And then Pat Cummins kept them in the game. So crazy. And this just shows that it's never over until it's over. Because probably, and it's a great fight back. Honestly, it's a great fight back from KKR. They could have easily gone down like 9 pins after 36 for 5. Probably everyone would have thought that the game was over. Even Dinesh Karthik or Russell could have thought that the game is over, just try and probably bat as long as they can. But then they kept believing in themselves, and that's the reason why they took it so close.
Incredible rearguard action. You just feel like Ajit, if Russell would have batted another 2 overs, maybe things could have been different.
Oh, I think he might have finished in those 2 overs the way he was going. I don't know. It's quite incredible. It was almost like two teams batting against bowling machine. It was six hitting game. So it can be that sort of a game at Wankhede, even though we haven't seen too many times to that extent. But I mean, Russell is always going to be dangerous at venues like this. It doesn't matter what the required rate is, who the bowler is, because of the sheer power. I mean, some of the shots over that point region, the offside, it felt like he never really smashed it and still carried over the boundary. So, yeah, KKR. I mean, he stays against the run-up play. You got to give credit to Sam Curran also. That was actually smart piece of bowling which got Russell out. But apart from that, I mean, KKR would have, I think, comfortably won this game if Russell had stayed for any longer.
For me, you got to give it to Sam Curran again for one more reason that he came back so strongly after conceding 30 of his third over, and then coming back and bowling the fourth over with just giving 8 runs was phenomenal because he could have easily been under a lot of pressure and against the same batter who had actually smashed him for 30 runs. And I'm sure that Ajit knows it, that how difficult it is once you get smashed for 30 by a certain batter and you have to come back and you know that you have to bowl that over. There was no way that he wouldn't have bowled that over, and then coming back that strongly just shows the quality and the mental strength he had.
In many sort of games that you've played, Ajit, have you ever conceded over 50 and scored a cracking 50 with the bat together like Pat Cummins did?
No, it's incredible. I mean, that over. I mean, look, sometimes you can freeze or you can run out of ideas. I think there was a lot of length stuff, but even so, long levers of Pat Cummins, 6 over mid off, and then hoiking everything to the leg side. Probably that's where, I mean, that's what Gautam's saying. I mean, that next over, then Sam Curran comes and corrects his length and makes it a little bit harder for Pat Cummins to hit the big ball. So credit to him. But yeah, it's incredible. I mean, what a day with the ball. I'm sure he would be thinking he could have done a bit better. But with the bat, he almost got them home. Unfortunately, ran out of partners. Otherwise, 220 doesn't seem enough at 1K on certain nights.
Yeah. My apologies. My also went for a toss, I think, like the ball. So, can you all hear me loud and clear, Ajit? Gautam?
Yeah, a little bit. It's just cracking a little bit.
Yes, now, yeah.
All right, back we are on the show. So now let's hope that we have a smooth connection, just like how the batters tend to have a smooth ride of it in the 1K. Ajit, Gautam, with me. All right, brilliant. Okay, so let's just come back to this game and try and identify what Kolkata would be thinking right now. Where if they essentially lost this game? Gautam, we spoke of the fine margin in the field, the difference between a 190 and a 220. They were sloppy in the field. Would you go back there, or would you go with the top order, 30 odd for five? What's the takeaway from Kolkata for this game?
Top order. Eventually, they ran out of partners. It's not that they couldn't have chased this total. They just ran out of partners. Imagine if 5, 6, and 7, or probably 6, 7, and 8 can actually take you this close. It really shows that there was no application. If you're chasing 220, there are certain venues like Wankhede or Chinnaswamy where you don't need to panic. And I remember, and in 2014 IPL final, we were chasing 200 in the IPL final. And I actually got into the dressing room during the innings break and I told only one thing, that we will never be able to win a game in first 5 overs, but we can easily lose the game in first 5 or 6 overs. So remember, if even if we need last 5 overs 60 or 70 with wickets in hand, or even 80, we're still in the game. But don't go bang bang thinking that we have to chase this total in the first 6 overs and end up losing 5 or 6 wickets. So that is exactly what KKR did today. 220, and then you was 36 for 5. You will always have time than you think you will at venues like Wankhede or Chinnaswamy. It's not like Chennai where you have to go bang bang in the first 6 overs, which probably is the best time to bat. At Wankhede, the best time to bat is probably in the last 6 or 7 overs because there is dew, the ball is wet, bowlers are under pressure. So you could have easily had wickets in hand and you could have actually chased it down because ultimately what happened? Ultimately, had Pat Cummins had partners alongside him, he could have continued taking those singles and doubles, and probably in the last over they would have needed what 13, 14, and he wouldn't have been under so much of pressure. So again, when you're chasing such a big total, it's not about chasing in the first 6 overs. It's about taking it deep. Even if in last 2 overs you need 35 with 4 or 5 wickets in hand, you're still in the game. So that exactly is where actually KKR lost the game.
It's a shame that it's not come together for them, Ajit, because one game against Mumbai Indians, you felt like top order's firing and the middle order is not yet firing. Now today it looked like the middle order was in terrific form. Top order just let them down.
Yeah, I mean you can't lose 5 wickets in a chase, any chase really. I mean, okay, they got this close, but if you lose the top five for 30, you're always going to be in trouble. Yes, they have depth and they have explosive batters like Andre Russell and Karthik who bat at 6 and 7, which is a real luxury for any team. But you can't lose as many wickets, and it wasn't great wicket taking balls that they lost wicket to. Like Gautam said, I think for me it's a bit of both. You concede those extra 10 or 15 runs due to various reasons, whether it's sometimes sloppy cricket, perhaps not enough execution of plans through your bowling innings, and then you almost feel like you've got to go too hard at the start, and you end up losing wickets, which you don't need to. With the kind of, I think that'd probably be a lesson for them. I'm sure they have another game at Wankhede. That's a lesson for them that you can perhaps end up, especially with their kind of firepower that they have in the batting, you could end up chasing anything if you don't put yourselves under as much pressure.
Yeah,
And
is that
and just
yes,
just
Gautam,
Ronak,
please.
just want to add one more thing. See, they took this close. They could have been all out for 70 or 80 as well. Because the kind of batter Russell is, the kind of batter Dinesh Karthik is, those guys will watch the ball and hit the ball. They were 36 for 5, and had Russell probably played that big shot, it wouldn't have come off. They could have been 40 for 6. So they could have actually been beaten by what 150 odd runs as well, because you need to give platform to people like Russell, Dinesh Karthik, and Pat Cummins where they can come in and explode. But if you give them too much to do, yes, they might just take you this close. They might just even end up winning you the game. But it's the responsibility of the top order to actually create the foundation for your power hitters to go out there and explode. So it could have been completely gone the other way. So that's how I would think, because I definitely feel that I think it's the top order that had made a huge difference in this game.
All right. Well, you're the CSK top order that didn't let their team down. So they've got the extra runs. I'd like to just go back to the Russell wicket and just take me through just explain it, because it looked freakish when we saw it. And yet it was such an important moment in the game, Ajit. What's Sam Curran done there? Why does Andre Russell look silly?
I think for a change, the bowlers come and bowled a hard length. Firstly, okay, the line was he saw him try to clear his front leg, and his plan is to try and follow him. Russell's obviously been, he's actually been smart there. Russell thinking it's down the leg, let me leave it and get a wide, but the ball's on target, so he's tried to follow it. And I I mean, Shardul Thakur's a clear case. Even when he came and he got whacked by Russell, and I'm not saying at all it's easy, but not a single length ball in his first over. Just good hard length with someone has a little bit of pace. If it deviates a little bit off the surface, who knows? At least give it a try. You start bowling too many knuckle balls and wide balls and short balls to him, you're playing into his hands a little bit. So that's what I thought Sam Curran did. Just keep, just hit the length, try to follow him, and it was one of those days where it was on target. So you got to give him credit. He saw him move, and then Russell's gone back in and tried to leave it. So a lot of credit to the bowler.
As a batsman, though, why Russell, you could see, was livid with himself. He didn't take his pads off for the next 45 minutes or so. So what do you feel as a batsman when you look like that after a wicket like that, Gautam?
For me, I think it was a bluff. I thought
Hmm.
it was a great thinking because the entire field was set as if he's going to bowl wide of outside off stump. And Russell probably was preparing for that because Shardul Thakur kept bowling outside the off stump, and that also those full length. They had a deep point and the deep cover, thinking that he's going to miss time one and hit it straight down their throat. So he just probably attacked the leg stump, and that's where it looked very weird. He ended up leaving that because he was actually not even prepared for it. And the way he was hitting the ball, I'm sure he knew deep inside. Had he actually played for another 4 or 5 overs, the way he was smashing it, he knew that off spinner will never come on to bowl till the time Russell is there on the crease, and they had only what 5 options. Shardul Thakur had to bowl another 3 overs. He had already smashed him for 24 in the first over. So I'm sure on his way back to the dressing room, he must be thinking that he's lost a golden opportunity first to score his own 100, and second probably to finish off this game on his own, probably by the 16th or the 17th over. And you don't get these kind of opportunities ever because you don't play so many games at Wankhede. So you've got now two opportunities, and he was smashing it. So I'm sure he
Yeah.
must be regretting that. Had he probably just defended that ball, it wouldn't have probably KK would have won that game.
Well, I'd love to talk about a bowler on the day when 420 odd runs have been scored. So Varun was great in the first innings. Ajit Lungin Gidi on his first appearance, 3 for 28 in 4 overs, proved to be quite a decisive selection called by CSK and Dhoni today.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bravo's done such a good job for them over the years, bowled all the difficult overs towards the end of the innings, but it didn't look like they were getting enough out of Bravo anymore. So, Ngidi, my reason for having or getting Ngidi back was maybe because he's got a little bit more pace. He's not quick by any stretch, but today I think it was the variations that, and eventually, he was one of the few bowlers who went quite full to Pat Cummins towards the end of that innings, and wasn't easy to get him away. So first game's always a tough game, especially when it comes in a game where there's 220 v 200 or whatever it was. So credit to him, and it was the right call as well. Just provides you something different. May not be a whole lot different from what Bravo was providing, but a little bit taller. On another night where there's a little bit more in the pitch, he might get a bit more out of it than Dwayne Bravo was. So, good selection call, and it's vindicated at the end of the night.
Fact also is, Gautam, this seems to be a really good start for CSK. We weren't sure what to expect out of them after a poor season last year and then having to play 5 games at Mumbai. But 3 wins already would bode well for Dhoni's side.
Oh, absolutely. They would have taken it hands down, especially after the 4 games. If you end up winning three, you're probably on course for qualifying for the playoff. And then what? You need 5 wins now out of 10, which is what a 50% win ratio you need from here on. And most of the sides, I'm sure, would be thinking that if at the stage of the competition, if they can actually manage to win 4 out of 7, they need another 4 out of next 7, or probably if they can end up winning 5, they need only 3 out of the next 7, and that is how probably most of the franchise or most of the teams look to. Look to probably achieve in this tournament. And that's the reason why we keep saying that you should start winning early in the competition so that you don't put so much of pressure on your own self. And I'm sure, look at where Sunrisers are, look at where Punjab Kings are. So now they're 1 win out of the 4, so they need to win 7 out of 10. So the win ratio becomes what? They need to win 70% of their games. So I'm sure,
Yeah.
and all these, mind you, these conditions are completely different to what the Chennai squad was made for. Chennai squad was made for conditions like Chipok. And coming to Mumbai, where everyone thought that they didn't have the bowling attack, they don't have the firepower, they don't have the pace and stuff, still ended up managing to win 3 out of the 4. It's a fabulous start.
Yep, great start for
And
CSK.
not to forget, Raunak, the next venue that they play at is Delhi. So you
Yeah.
don't quite know, and if it is a little bit slow, low, it just plays
Yeah.
into their hands. So it's I mean, he would have taken it hands down, MS, if he was told that he was going to win three out of the first four after losing the first one.
Okay, I'd like to quickly ask the two of you to, in a line, tell me which was the standout innings that you watched today, the wow innings. There's Faf, there's Ruturaj, there's Russell, there's Karthik, there's Cummins, Ajit.
Faf for me. I think at the end of the day, the result matters, and the innings that define that result, even the way he finished that innings, they needed those extra runs. And on the night, KKR, in spite of losing five top order wickets, still got close. So they needed those extra runs. So fast innings for me.
Gautam?
Pat Cummings. No one expected him to smash the way he did because people expected Dinesh Karthik, Andrew Russell, Faf, all those guys to probably smash it the way they did. But Pat Cummings was a massive surprise for me because he was hitting as clean as anyone. So, and he was the one who kept them in the game. So for me, Pat Cummings.
All right. Well, that's two very good innings from Fab du Plessis and Pat Cummins. So thank you very much, Ajit Agarkar and Gautam Gambhir. It's a crazy
Pleasure.
game that we've had the pleasure of discussing on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Do join us tomorrow on All Royal Clash, Rajasthan against Bangalore. And it stays at the Wankhede Stadium. So who knows what we'll get in the 7:30 p.m. game tomorrow. We hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる